This is a short video to talk through the use of technical indicators on buying or when to buy or when to consider buying the DAX index after the last correction. Just in terms of chart setup, so what I have here is the DAX. It's a daily chart, and I have a 200-day, 50 and 20-day moving average on the chart. The first thing I would be looking at is horizontal levels. So I'll put in a horizontal level with the last two lows, and you'll see that we've broken below that level. So what the markets typically do will look for the next horizontal level for a bounce point. So I will draw that one in, which is taken from this time period here on the 18th of September. And you'll see that actually coincides with the low from the last trades. So we could expect a bounce off that level. The next thing I'd like to do is to put on some Bollinger Bands, and I will highlight those, and just to show how those can be used. So what we can see here is that the price has is operated and closed, it's not closed outside the Bollinger Band, but it has certainly touched the band. It has done a series of those. So let's see how you would use a Bollinger Band as a buy signal. Typically what you're looking for is you're looking for a touch of the band and then a close inside the band. So if we look at this rundown cycle here, we had a touch, a close, so you could have bought then, touch and close, could have bought then, touch and close would have bought then. These would have been short runs. Touch stayed outside, touch outside, and here was the buy signal here as an opportunity which produced a pretty good run. We'll see the same things here when the market was actually climbing steadily, pulled back, touched, closed outside, so you'd enter here and then run upwards. And it works pretty consistently as an idea. So what I now do is put the technical indicator on for momentum. So I'll use MACD for that, and just show what I would be looking at for MACD. So here we have our MACD situation. And you can see here our signal line, which is the blue line, has crossed below zero some time after the downward move started, and it is now steadily below zero, and the other line has now also crossed below zero. So this is clearly bearish territory, and for the most part one would not touch that until you start to see the turn and a retracement. So if we go back to the previous turn here, you could try to time here. As it happens here, what we'll see is that the MACD low and the price action low coincide. As we move across, you'll see that we got our buy signal from our Bollinger Band. You see we could have gone in above this high here and entered here, which is pretty well the level that the blue signal line crossed over the orange line on the MACD. So that's looking at, on the daily chart, would essentially be waiting for this blue to turn and to cross over the orange line on the way up. One does have to be, and what we can see is that this is a much more oversold area, this one down here, than this one back here, even though there were perfectly valid buy signals here. The next thing I'd like to do is to have a look at MACD on a different time frame. So I'm going to change this to a weekly chart and to see where MACD lives on the weekly chart. And what you see on the weekly chart is the MACD has the signal line has tried to bounce off the zero and is now headed below the zero line. That is warning me that this is a much more bearish situation than the price action is actually showing. And we'll remember, see what it did when it crossed over that zero line in August of 2011, it dropped pretty dramatically beyond that. And we'll do the same on the monthly chart to see where we are on the monthly chart. And on the monthly chart, we've only just crossed over. It's still above zero, so on a monthly chart this index is still bullish, but it has crossed over. So what we've got to be wary of, if it does what happened in 2007, we got the crossover and it just headed straight down, which is quite different from an overbought position, which is a bit different to what happened here. Yes, it headed down, but it then bounced up above the zero. So I would certainly be looking on the monthly chart to see this signal line turn before I would consider an entry. And on the weekly, we want to be sure that this actually does turn and jumps, similar to what it did over here, because so that it does not go and do what it did over there. I hope that helps. I did have a conversation with Brad the other day about DAX, and his thought was far better to look at the Euro Stoxx 50. One is because the options were cheaper, contract sizes were smaller. So I've put the Euro Stoxx 50 index up here, and the first thing here that I would notice is that we have a horizontal level there and another one, or we will say it's the same one there, and a horizontal level over here and a horizontal level over here. There's a fair bit of support that this could test. So we've not broken this low yet, and we've got two levels of support that are reasonably close. Which is a little bit different to what we saw on the DAX chart, where we had broken that horizontal level. We're testing that one there and do not have much until we get to this level. This looking quickly then at what the MACD stuff is showing us, we see the same thing here. It's headed into heavily bearish territory and has not started to turn. That's on the daily. If we look at on a weekly, it's looking very similar. It is testing that zero mark. It's bounced off it, testing it, and we've not yet seen it go down below. And on the monthly level, I'm sure we'll see exactly the same pattern. It's crossed over at the top, so that's the signal of the turn. So this is a condition, a market condition to stay away from for now. I hope that helps.